करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Okay, so last time we saw chapter 10 verse 41, right? Yeah, we saw. Yeah, so now we have to do chapter 11 verse 55. Okay, so this is, I will chant and then you will repeat. Matkarma krut matparamaha madbhakta sangavarjitaha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasamameti pandava. You will chant after me?
Yeah.
Okay. Matkarma krut matparamaha madbhakta sangavarjitaha nirvaira sarvabhuteshu yasamameti pandava. Okay, so here what is important is that he uses a pronoun mat bhaktaha. Mat bhaktaha means my devotee. Okay, so now if you take the literal meaning, what happens is you imagine a person called Lord Krishna, and then as though Lord Krishna is saying that you be devoted to me. Okay, so this is not what actually it means at all. So this is why he says mat karma krut. Okay, mat karma krut means that also people translate literally and said offer all your actions to me. Okay, now what does it mean to offer all the actions to Ishvara? What does it mean?
Have a perspective, I mean, distance yourself.
Actually, not distance, not really. Exactly.
And being aware of.
Absolutely. Right? So basically, we think this is something which is extremely important. Okay? Mat Bhakta is a devotee. Okay? Now, a devotee is a relational word. Okay? When you are, let's say, mother, it's in relation to what? Your children. Okay? When you are a friend, in relation to a friend. Okay? When you are an employee, it's in relation to employer. So that means all your life goes in what? Playing different roles. Okay? And generally what we think is, when are we relating to Ishvara? When we are doing prayers or bhajans, or when we are doing something religious, we think that we what? Are relating to Ishvara. So that means in our vision, we relate to everyone, we play different roles, and then one of those roles is what? When I relate to Ishvara, so I make Ishvara into one entity, and just what? When I do something with relationship to that Ishvara, I am in relationship with Ishvara. Okay? But is Ishvara just one uncle? No. Right? It is not something which is one uncle, so it cannot be just, assuming different roles, and one of those roles is, relating to Ishvara. You need to fundamentally re-understand what does it mean to relate to Ishvara. Okay? So this is where he says, when you perform a karma, okay, so that means one thing is very important. When you perform karma, then okay, you can basically do anything, and you said, oh, I'm offering to Ishvara, and get away with everything. This is not what mat karma krut means that there are laws. Ishvara manifests in form of law of dharma. When you are what? Incorporating dharma in your decision making, you are what? Relating to Ishvara. Okay, so that means your definition of what is relating to Ishvara has to expand. Okay, so what is dharma? We saw that Bhagavad Gita talks about 3 different types of dharma, 3 different nuances of dharma. The first is what we said was Samanya Dharma. What is Samanya Dharma? Samanya Dharma is some universal ethical values. Okay, that everybody knows I should not be cheating. Everybody should. I should not be cheated, and others don't want the same from me. I don't want to be lied to. Others don't want the same from me. I don't want to hurt. I don't want to be hurt, and others don't want the same from me. Okay, so that means when I incorporate this universal values in my actions, then I am what? Relating to Ishvara. Because the law of dharma is not something which is my creation. See, this is one thing which is very important to understand. Westerners have written a lot about ethics, right? So there is a lot of literature on ethics. How is the Vedic vision different from the Western view of dharma? Okay. Western whole ethics is based on what? That it is the whole focus is my responsibilities. Okay, so how do I act the best in the world? So the whole focus is how can I be more evolved person so that I can perform more, more enlightened actions, right? Now the Vedic vision is very different. What it says is that there is a law of, like every other law that is existing, law of gravity that is existing, there is law of dharma which is existing. Whether you recognize or not, the law of dharma is existing. How do you know that just like every other physical law, biological law, law of dharma is existing? Because this law of dharma, there is one place where not only you but everybody else senses it. Where is it? In your own buddhi, right? So that means it is like time and space. Nobody has seen time and space, but we understand time and space. What has given us the understanding of time and space?
Internet.
Exactly. So that means it is there, right? And your intellect intuitively can figure it out. So that's why dharma is something, the law of dharma, like every other law, is there. And your intellect is able to sense it. Okay? That's why without going to school, without listening to any religious books, without making a social contract, the person in small village in Africa knows it, right? A person in big city like New York knows it. Somebody in India knows it. Somebody, a tribal in Australia knows it. Everybody senses it. Everybody senses it because it is there.
We feel guilty, that's how.
Exactly. Right? So that means when you go, that means when you are performing dharma, please understand. Okay? It's not just, oh, I want to be more responsible. There is a law, and when you recognize the law and you align what? Your actions in keeping with the law, this is what we call mat karma krit. Because the laws are not created by you. Law of dharma is not created by you. You find yourself within the law of dharma. Okay, so therefore now most of the time, even though the knowledge is given to you, not everybody follows it, right? So that means we have other motivations when we act. And then because it is the law, what is the feedback that we get when we don't follow the law?
Guilt.
Guilt. That means the universe immediately gives us a feedback about the nature of our action. You don't need to go and tell anyone. Okay, most of the time you think that if you are not legally caught by anybody, then you are what? Free. Here what it says is there is a law and it has a mechanism to communicate to you what? The nature of your action. Okay, so therefore you can hide from the whole world. Okay, you can put up a big front and say that, oh, I got away with doing something which was not right. Okay, but in reality, through this mechanism of guilt, okay, and the universe talks to you. Okay, the law gives you the feedback about nature of your action. And then what? Just like everything is connected through cause and effect, right? That action being a cause, it will produce, in addition to this seen result, it will fructify in terms of some what? Unpleasant situation in the future, which is what we call unseen result. Okay, so that means that our following dharma is being in alignment with Ishvara, because Ishvara manifests in form of what? Law of dharma. Okay, it's very different. Ethics means you just want to be responsible. Here is when you mat karma krut, right? When mad bhaktaha, when you are devoted to me, you appreciate me as not just one uncle sitting out there away from me, but as the fabric of dharma which pervades the entire universe. The minute you recognize that that fabric of dharma which pervades the entire universe and there is no escape from it, right? This is where what choice do I have but to what? Align my actions to this law of dharma. I have no other choice, right? It is our teacher, as the teacher used to say, right? The tree is standing there. You use your free will to go and rub against it. Who gets rubbed? Does something happen to the tree? Not really, right? You get rubbed in the process. Okay. Then you can go and cry and you can tell the tree, you're so cruel. Did you do it? The tree will say, yes, I did it, because it was me, right? So then he said, but you're so cruel. Right? You're so cruel that you are just so inconsiderate. Then the tree will say, I'm just standing here. I'm neutral. I didn't run after you to give you a bruise. You used your free will, right, to choose to rub against me. I was standing there, and what? You got bruised in the process. Okay? The laws are like that. They are not good or bad. You can't call them good or bad. They have no will of their own. They are neutral and they are fair. Okay, so this is where if once you understand how the world operates, then what choice do you have but to what? For you are following dharma, for obliging others. If you understand this reality, if you understand that the law of dharmas exist and nobody can escape laws of dharma, then when you follow dharma, are you following dharma for somebody else's sake, to please the parents or to please the society or to please your teachers or whatever? Exactly. So that means once you understand the laws operate, you know you're doing it for yourself. Then
But sometimes you have a choice in the sense that one action causes less harm to somebody.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you take the other side, it might cause less harm to somebody else.
Yeah,
And
we
you don't
saw
know.
a little bit of this interpretation, so I don't want to really exactly go into that, because you're right. I mean, that is something that the dharma, even though it is universal, we talked about it, it's relative. You know, sometimes you need to interpret. That is correct. That is correct. But your whole attempt is to not justify,
discover the law.
but to exactly to see what is the best way to interpret it, and not to justify. Because even if you justify, because the laws are operating, so you will have to pay for it,
Sometimes
right?
you cannot get rid of guilt.
You can't, exactly.
Because if you do something, it harms somebody else.
So
Sometimes even our conditioning makes us feel guilty, whether right or wrong, we don't know.
Exactly.
But it is our conditioning, like being
Yeah.
a daughter-in-law, I should have done this.
yes,
which may be or
exactly.
may not
So
be.
now that I will come to the second thing, that is something which is very nice, right? First, when we talk about dharma, we must understand what we are talking about. Okay, so that means nobody then, if you understand that there is a law, you will not make a statement that, you know, I'm a good person and I don't get anything, and people are what, not following dharma and they are getting away with it. This sentence will not exist the minute you understand that there is fabric of dharma which is pervading everything. Nobody can escape. Okay, you being a loser when you follow dharma is coming from your non-understanding of Ishvara in form of dharma. Nobody can be a loser following dharma. That is how you need to change your psyche. Okay, now the second aspect of dharma that we talk about is what Kirti is talking about. In addition to samanya dharma, we talk about swadharma. Swadharma means now in the entire universe,
What is my role?
exactly, because I have unique placement in this scheme of things. I have my own talents, right? I have my own skills, I have my own resources. Okay, so that means in addition to just some normal universal, you know, I don't hurt anybody, I don't cheat anybody, there are other responsibilities. Okay, those other responsibilities are what we call swadharma. And swadharma for each one of you, okay, it can be some common things and some unique things to you. Okay, some common things in the sense that if you are married, then you always have what, a role you are playing. You have responsibility with reference to your husband. If you are a girlfriend, nowadays I have young people class, and I have to say, if you have a girlfriend, you have some responsibility towards whoever you are with, right? So I can't always say husband and wife. So, you know, then you have children, you have responsibility towards them. Okay, you are an employee, you have a responsibility towards your employer. Okay, so that means we all play many different roles, okay, in our life. Okay, now every role requires what? Can you be just even within a role? Let's take one role of a parent. Okay, when a child is 5 years old, and what the child requires is very different from what the child requires when the child is 18 years old, right? And when the child is 30 years old, what, even within that one role of mother or father, the script changes, right? So then to identify what happens most of the time is how you behaved with the child when the child was 5 years old, you continue to behave like that even when the child is grown up. So that means when the child was young, you needed to give a lot more guidance, you had to make decisions for them and everything. But when the child is 20 years old, you can't make decisions for the child. You can't make them do, you can't control them, right? So that means even within one role, we don't completely understand our script. Even with reference to husband and wife role, what is very interesting is I've seen it not only in India, everywhere. Okay, so in a starting point of a relationship, many times I have seen that a woman assumes a kind of a submissive role. Okay, she is constantly wanting to please her husband or please her whatever boyfriend or whatever, right? And then what happens? And let go. This letting go is something that you do. Then over a period of time, this letting go becomes what? All fire inside. Right? Nobody is satisfied totally letting go. Okay? Then there is so much resentment that we carry, but in a relationship, the pattern of that relationship is set in what? The first few years. Okay? Then later on, when you're fuming and you want to change the relationship, it is extremely difficult. Okay? So that means in the beginning, what do you need to do? You need to draw your boundaries. Okay? Because set the norms. Okay? Because if you don't do it in the beginning of any relationship, okay, once the pattern emerges, it's very difficult to undo it. And this is where I have seen so many times, people come very dissatisfied with the way the relationship is, and they want to change, and they are totally unable to change. Because in order for that dynamic of the relationship to change, how many people have to change? Two have to change, right? But if you want to change, and if the other person is in a comfortable role and has no incentive to change, what is going to happen? It is going to lead to friction. So that means wise living, it requires a lot of alertness. Okay? And also, when you want to change, a relationship, sometimes the problem is the other way. Okay? That you you cannot get along with your spouse or whatever, so you have big fights. Okay? So then people now they get tired, the fights are very tiring. So then they don't know what to do. So then they come to Gita class, because then they want to, that they think that by that. So then they come to me after a while and they said, I've changed. So I said, now how have you changed? So they said, oh yeah, before I used to shout back and now I'm not shouting. So I said, but Gita is not asking you to be passive. Okay? Yes, you have to somehow, that you, instead of just shouting back, you have to reflect. And you have to be much more deliberate in your decision making. But wisdom is not in being passive. Okay? So we go from one extreme, which is aggressive, to passive. Okay? But what is wisdom? Wisdom is not in any of the two extremes. The spirituality is all about clarity. Clarity means intelligent interventions. You have to intervene. Okay? And every small step, because if the pattern has already set, it's very difficult to change it overnight. So one has to be realistic. But at the same time, one has to be proactive. Okay? Because by not reacting, you're not solving the problem in any way. Okay? You're at times giving license for the person to be how that person is. Okay? So therefore, intelligent interventions means highly proactive, okay, and at the same time realistic. Okay? I'll just give you one example, which is a nice example. Okay? So that means, let's say a relationship between husband and wife, right? So I knew somebody, and it is a nice solution. So I would like to talk about it, right? So she was a dancer, very, very good dancer when she got married. Then when she got married, then what? No dancing, all her time went in looking after the in-laws and, providing, the children and family and house responsibilities. So she completely gave up her dancing, which was her love. Okay? So 5 years, 10 years, it was fine. The person did it. After 10 years, what? There is fuming that I'm wasting my life. What is this? My life has just come down to, doing this kind of a chore. Nothing is challenging. Nothing is interesting for me. So now, then she had a choice. Okay? She says either the mind works like this. Either I continue exactly as I am without any resistance, don't say anything, or what? I have a big fight and I walk out of the home. So human mind is what we call bipolar. Okay, we go from one extreme to the other. So either I'm just submissive, or I have a huge fight and my rights, and what about me, and I've not been taken care of and all that, and then big scene and all that, right? So she went to a friend. She told me this and I thought it was really nice. Okay, so she went to her friend and she says, I'm really frustrated, I don't know what to do, I just feel like walking out of the house. My friend said, you don't need to do anything drastic like that. What you do is, right, every day you just say that I'm going to go and practice dance with my friend and somebody for 1 hour. Okay, so therefore 1 hour, people will say 1 hour is what? Nothing, right? It's not like I'm leaving all my work and all that. So she says, I'm going to go every day for 1 hour. That was acceptable to everyone because it was not something which was very significant, right? So then she started going for that 1 hour. That 1 hour of being with what she really loved did her a lot of good in terms of her own psychology also. When she had spent that hour doing what she really wanted to do, she was at home with a much better mindset. Okay, then what happened is 1 hour became 1.5 hours. Okay, 1.5 hours became at times 2 hours, but it went unnoticed. Okay, then at times she was invited to give some performance by some, in some school or some college or whatever. Then they were very happy. They said, yeah, she's invited here, she's invited there. So then she started going there. Then she started getting invited to go to Singapore, to Hong Kong, and Japan, and now she's become a very famous, and she travels internationally. Okay, intelligent interventions. Where did it start? Started with 1 hour, right? So this is what we say. You have to learn to be proactive. Otherwise we get into this whole mindset of what? I'm dissatisfied, I can't do what I want to do, there is no way out, either I leave and I divorce, or I just get stuck in this situation. This is a mindset, and we keep on going round and round and round, and our dissatisfaction goes on rising. This is how we human beings, right, every little problem, it assumes a huge proportion, and our mind is totally preoccupied with it. Okay, and we make it so big, and then we actually make generalizations. Oh, all in-laws are like that. Then we make some huge stories. We make huger and huger stories, and we start believing in those stories, and we don't take enough proactive actions to help ourselves. Anybody who comes to me and tells me that I'm in this situation and I can't do anything, I said, this doesn't exist. The starting point that I can't do anything doesn't exist, because you have a free will. Free will means you have to intelligently figure out what is the clever step right now. Even though it may not solve the problem tomorrow, right? It's a way towards that solution.
This is, Dr. Shrikant, who was our dean, he used to say Buniya Buddhi. What he meant was, you must understand इसमें आपको क्या मिलने वाला है, उसको क्या मिलने, and then work out what is
Work out, yeah.
Find a way out.
Exactly. See the situation and do what needs to be done. Okay, so this is how intelligently you have to play every role, not just one role. Every role has what? Its own challenges, it has its own script, and
Generally
the script.
what happens is, if you pay more time to one role, the other roles get affected.
Yeah, or what happens in role playing is not only time, but there are problems. There is one thing which happens which is very common, and that is what we say the carry forward of the roles. Okay, now I'll tell you a real example. The real example is the following. Okay, I have a very dear friend of mine. She was my boss actually at the UN, and she told me that one of her friends they were close friends, got divorced, right? So I said, so what happened? So he said that this girl, right, her husband was a captain in a ship. So in that role of being a captain in a ship where you are away in the sea for like 6 months or whatever, he is in charge. Everything happens exactly according to what he says, right? And it is necessary because there is nobody else to consult.
There has to be a boss.
There has to be a boss, right? In a situation where you are completely cut off from the world. So that person in that role enjoys all the authority, and everybody has to follow what he says. Okay, now there is what we call a spillover. So when he comes home,
He acts the same.
he acts the same way.
Many of us know these sailors and their wives and the problem there.
Exactly, right? He acts exactly because he thinks what he is not able to see in that role. It is very necessary, but here when I come home, I'm playing a different role altogether. Okay, so that means that we are not even careful. That Swadharma is a very important aspect for us to get some sanity.
Conflict between roles.
Exactly. Understanding that different roles have different scripts.
But none of us have that so much intelligence that we can understand.
So this is why one has to study Gita. You need to equip your buddhi with a vision of Gita. We think that we are intelligent, we figured it all out, but actually it's amazing how much we don't know.
No, but however much you know, you can't know everything.
No, it's not. But you have to start working. This is again one extreme to the other, right? That starting you have to, what choice do you have but to equip your buddhi so that you begin to see things differently? What choice do you have? Because one is caught in one's rut. One cannot get out of it.
You must get one step out.
You just take one step forward. Okay, then the universe will help you to take the second step forward, then the third step forward. But from now, if I just think about, then you don't do anything.
It's like that theory that you are right. This spiral goes up.
Yes.
So just standing somewhere here.
Yes.
It gets just stuck.
Yeah.
You just get onto the spiral and what
Then
you go up.
exactly.
So either you go up or you go down.
Or you-
And a virtuous circle or vicious
So
circle.
you only go up.
Yeah, either you're like getting into
Yeah,
this
you know,
vicious, you're
vicious
stuck, or you even go down,
Yeah.
right?
Depending on
Sometimes,
what steps you take.
exactly, absolutely.
You can't remain there where you are.
Either you remain where you are, you get deeper down, or you can help yourself
Go
up.
and go down.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the purpose is to always grow.
Always grow, exactly, right? And in order to grow, otherwise you will think that I have everything that I need to grow. Okay, so this is where you have to recognize that the wisdom that Bhagavad Gita gives, it's a value added. Okay, it's not just something that we already know. Generally, what people make Gita teaching to be is reiterating what we already know. Oh, be a good person.
But those are general terms,
Exactly.
very difficult to
Right? So therefore, Gita has a value added. Okay, it shows us something more than what we can figure out on our own. That's why there is value in studying it. Otherwise, what? You don't need it, right? So this is where this karma krut means when you are following samanya dharma, not as just kind of, oh, I'm very mature and I'm doing this, nor also as somebody who's losing out as a result of being honest, but recognizing that there are laws, and also recognizing that in addition to samanya dharma there is swadharma, which is what? Placing me playing different roles with different human beings, and even those one role there are changes, and I have to do what needs to be done at that given point in time. You become intelligent, you become alert, you become alive to your responsibilities. You don't just act out of this habitual kind of thinking, which is sometimes so superficial in some ways, right? So mechanical in so many ways, right? So this is what it is. The third thing that Gita is saying is dharma. Generally, most of the people define dharma only with reference to people with whom that they are related. Okay, family, employers, employees, but one has to see one's dharma as you grow as an individual in a much larger way. This is where your growth and doing something for others, it becomes an extremely important part of
Samanya dharma,
Swadharma. And the third is a little bit of evolution from Swadharma to define your Swadharma not only with reference to people who are related. It's called Lokasangraha. Lokasangraha means something for where I see my connection to not just the normal circle, to the whole universe, to the nation, to the community. Lokasangraha.
I beg your pardon?
Lok Sangra.
Sangra is gathering.
Sangra is the totality.
Yeah. Okay. So that means you have to see yourself, yeah, right? You have to expand your sense of responsibility. You can't just, our normal sphere of responsibility is only so narrowly defined. Okay. So that means community, the nation, okay, the world, the environment. Okay, these are the people who can think beyond just that narrow interest. Now, in this, what is again very important is, okay, that you must recognize that your sphere, you want to change the world, right? You go to a cocktail party, most of the time, what is the nature of conversation? If there are men who are talking, they're all talking about politics, who should have done what, then international politics, what is this America doing, and Iraq and whatever, right? So that means you are thinking that you are solving whole world's problem, and you think that you know how to solve everything. Okay, is this a contribution? There is no contribution here. This is just a party talk. Okay, what is in this when I have a bigger sense of responsibility? Realistically, what can I do? Realistically, I can't change the world. I can't go and I can't call Obama and say, now I don't agree with your foreign policy. I can't do that, right? So that means I'm thinking about welfare of the world. What can I do? Practically, what can I do?
Sphere of influence.
Exactly. So one has to be realistic about sphere of influence. Okay, the sphere of influence that you have at home is much larger, right? But when it comes to bigger issues, your sphere of influence may not be there, but still, right, you can do something. And identifying what is that thing that I do, it can be very small, but it is significant. Okay, I'll just give you my own example. So when we got married, Surya used to, when I used to brush my teeth, I used to keep the tap on, right? So there, Surya came to me and he's saying, for 10 minutes, I used to like this, 10 minutes. He says, for 10 minutes, you're running the water. Okay, close the water. Close the tap. That awareness. Okay, this is something which is not a small thing, right? Otherwise, we always think that somebody else has to do something. The environmental problem, the ministers are not doing it, and the companies are doing this, and we always have people to blame. We don't look at our little part, no matter how little it is a contribution. Okay, that every responsibility, if you are really serious about anything, whether it is the environment or it is anything, okay, you have to find out what you can do, no matter how small it is, and you have to start doing it, because then you are participating in something that you believe in. You're not just, at the level of mind and in this complaint and dissatisfaction mode. Otherwise, we are always in a complaint and dissatisfaction mode. This one is not doing it and that one is not doing it and people are like that, and that is the mode that we are in. Okay? When you recognize that whatever that small thing is, it is necessary. Because the way the world is, the cause and effect is such that it will have some impact. There is a very nice Times of India clip when they were searching for, we have to show them, it's a beautiful clip, when they were searching for, there was a Lead India program. Okay, and they were searching for a young leader who can lead India. Okay, and there was a very nice the clip. It's a 2-3 minute clip. It starts with a traffic jam. I think I showed you, or you've seen it. You've seen it. The log is fallen. Yeah, so it's very nice. It's a
one little child. So many people
join in, right?
Also a very nice other clip on imagine leadership. So you can be leader at any point, any little thing that you do, you can play on.
You have to take the lead.
Yeah.
There was another ad by Google where a girl, a family in Pakistan wanted to connect their father or grandfather to an Indian friend.
Yeah, that was it.
And through internet, through Google,
They found out where that
they could talk to each other.
Exactly. Small things. Okay, very, very important. So therefore, this is what we call Swadharma. So when you are bringing in Samanya Dharma, Swadharma and Loka Sangraha, okay, then which is in your understanding, when you are performing action, you are in touch with Ishvara. The devotion does not mean you're sitting and doing bhakti. Okay? Bhakti is recognizing the presence of Ishvara as law of dharma and aligning your action, right, in keeping with those laws. Okay? Then the second thing is what he says, mat parama. Mat parama bhava means not only is Ishvara only in dharma, what is the nature of Ishvara? Okay, that also you need to, mat parama means in order to have proper relationship with Ishvara, you need to understand Ishvara properly. What is Ishvara? If I want to have a proper relationship with you and I have very vague idea as to who you are, can I have a proper relationship with you? No. So that means if you want to have healthy relationship, bhakti towards Ishvara, what do you need to know? You need to know what is Ishvara. Otherwise, you are relating to your concept of what is Ishvara. And if you are relating to your concept of Ishvara, which is Ishvara is far away, remote, then you will always have questions like, if Ishvara is there, which has all knowledge and all power, why is there so much misery in the world? Why is there so much violence in the world? Okay. Why is it that people are acting in such irresponsible manner? Okay. So that means if you have not understood, the answer to this question is what? A, you are asking this question from your understanding of Ishvara. Now you need to re-understand what is Ishvara in order the question will be automatically be answered. Okay, so mat parama is that you need to understand accurately what Ishvara is. Okay, we have seen I just want to bring, right, to your mind the two verses we have seen which are beautiful. What is Ishvara? Two verses on Ishvara were beautiful. Okay, it says, I am the string, okay, which is putting together all the different beads. Okay, now let us look at what are those, what this is an example, what it represents. What it represents is, what are the beads in the real life?
Different people, animals.
Excellent, exactly. The beads are the different beings.
Different beings.
So human beings, animals,
Trees. Whatever.
trees, right? Objects, inanimate objects. Okay, these are all the beads. Okay, now you can expand your understanding a little bit, and what are the other beads? Planets,
The whole cosmos.
stars, right? So these are all the beads. Now it says, I am the string which puts together all the different beads.
The law.
Okay, exactly.
The interconnection.
Excellent, right? So therefore, what is connecting me to you? Think about it.
The same string.
Common dharma is connecting. So law of dharma is connecting you and me. What are the other things which are connecting you and me?
The air we breathe.
Exactly, right?
The same law of gravity.
The same laws of
She
gravity.
doesn't stand ulta.
Exactly, right? So this is what you have to understand, that Ishvara, when it says, I am a common string that connects every bead, and the bead is what?
Everything.
All the different objects in the universe, then it includes, that string includes, you must understand, laws of gravity,
All laws.
all laws. So we have to, in order to make Gita real for us, we need to further break down the word, what does all mean? Because otherwise it remains everything, all, then it keeps eluding you. The minute you start to iterate all the things which connect you and me, you begin to see, my God, at so many levels we are connected. Okay, so the first is the laws of gravity, which is what it is, part of what we call the physical laws of the universe. Okay, the physical laws, as he says, that she doesn't stand upside down, and I also don't stand on one side and you don't stand on the other side. When we go outside a certain atmosphere, laws of gravity will work differently. All this is what? Part of the design which connects us. Okay, so one string, one aspect of that string is the physical laws. Which is the other aspect?
Interpersonal, social, psychological.
Excellent. The second is dharma, which connects us, right? Then, as he said, there is what we call psychological laws. That also connects us. Okay, so that means if you behave with me in a certain manner, this is how I'm going to feel. This is what we call the psychological laws. Have we created that? No. The minute you go to a psychologist and start talking about your life, right, they'll figure out more than what you know about what could be the kind of background that you may have had in order to feel like this. How? The person has just met you for the first time and has spoken to you only for 15 minutes. How is it that the person knows more about your psychology than you yourself do? How?
The laws.
Because of the laws. Okay?
Because he has studied the laws.
Exactly. Right? So, a psychologist has studied that aspect of string of Ishvara. He studied the laws, how human mind works. Okay? And the more they study, their ability to intervene, to help you, becomes what? Better. It is an insight into the string which is Ishvara. They haven't created this cause effect. They are just looking into that cause and effect and then what? Using it to help you. How the laws work, and then they help you. They intervene intelligently to help you. Okay. Then what is the other? The psychological laws, physical laws, laws of dharma that connect us. What other laws? Social laws, right? So the social
For
organization.
instance, you find yourself lost in a community you have never been before.
Exactly.
You don't know what is wrong, what is right, what is wrong.
Absolutely.
Why is somebody getting angry?
So this is exactly. Just a few days ago, Surya was saying that I think I'm Indian, but I'm sometimes feeling I'm so different from an Indian, because
V.S. Naipaul said that when he first came to India, the first time nobody is looking at me. When you're abroad, you look different. Nobody look at you. In India, you're an Indian, so why you So Surya has that problem.
So the behavior pattern and how you react,
Yes.
the culture also has an impact, right?
Absolutely.
From the deeper point, from the in between.
Exactly. Right. You go to a doctor, okay, and you have an eye problem, okay, and the doctor has given you something. It is which law? The doctor gives you a medicine.
Physically.
Exactly.
Biology.
Anatomy, right? So that means physiology, anatomy, biology. Okay. So that means a whole thing, right? 10 years ago, there was probably not enough medicines to cure that given disease. Okay. Now, with all this research, we have found those medicines. What is it? Our attempt to understand how the physiology works and then how to intervene. Okay. The string is something that means all the research which was done 10 years ago, the knowledge is applied now.
There is an article in The Economist about nature and nurture, and anything that happens during the 9 months that the baby child is in the womb has an effect for a long time
Exactly.
on that human being.
Yeah.
For instance, I believe just after the World War, during the World War, the children who were born during that time developed stress later because of the stress that the mother went.
Amazing.
So what the solution is very interesting. You don't have to treat a person for his own life. You treat him when he's in the womb.
Yeah.
Look after him.
Look after. Exactly.
These laws one has to understand.
The laws one has to understand. Okay, you're operating within this vast network of laws, but those laws are not mechanical dumb laws. They are all manifestation of Ishvara. Okay, this is why you call Ishvara as Sarvajnaha Sarvashaktiman. Okay, it is all knowledge and all power, which is
Why do you say
not
they are not mechanical?
because it is organizing, right, this whole beads and with a
Those
string.
laws never change.
But they are all interconnected. There is a whole part of this design, right? So this is why, yeah, it is part of one grand design where one law is connected to the other.
They are looking mechanical because we are looking at only that one aspect.
That one aspect, exactly.
No, mechanical by
Then
what
it
I
is-
mean is the laws are given, nothing will happen outside the laws.
The intelligence to organize.
The intelligence, exact, to put it together and how it works. That is what we call the intelligence. It is constantly.
Good article in Speaking Tree about how God is also evolving. I mean, and it doesn't mean the God evolving. It didn't mean that.
It
had
means
a much
that-
more profound meaning.
Yes, exactly.
That,
And our understanding is.
yes, our understanding. So how religion is narrowing down our
Yeah, because our idea of God is not one person. This is something that one has to take out,
It's not
right?
what?
One person, right? It is something which is the laws which are organizing the universe constantly. Okay, and therefore, and not only organizing the universe constantly, but they are producing results based on the actions that we have performed. Okay, now the second thing, then what do we think? That Ishvara is only what? All the laws which are governing us. Then the second verse that we saw, it says, Raso ham apsu kaunteya prabhava shashi surya yoho. Okay, so that means it says even the very beads that you think are subject to the laws of Ishvara, those beads are also what? Ishvara. Right? So that means now look at your own body, which is one of the beads. Okay? Billions of cells are working and coordinating their functions, right? Every second. Some cells are going, new ones are coming, and the whole design is constantly working. Okay? Are you making it all work? No. There is that intelligence which is making it work right now, here and now. So that Sarvajnaha, Sarvashaktiman is not only in form of the laws, but it is also in form of what? The beads. Not only the string, but also the beads. A reptile's body also has cells, and they are also organizing within the reptile program to do whatever reptile has to do. Walk without legs and walk very fast. They go very fast. Snake, you see, you have to run. No legs, but where is the power? In the stomach. How it works. It is incredible design. Okay, so therefore that intelligence is in and through that reptile. Don't think it is somewhere out there. Okay, so therefore this is what is the total understanding of Ishvara. Not only the beads are Ishvara, but also the laws that govern these beads and their interaction is Ishvara. Then your understanding of Ishvara is very, very different. So this is what he says, Mat Paramaha. Okay? Only then you can really become Bhakta of Ishvara. Because with this understanding, tell me, what do you do in your life where you are not connected to Ishvara? Show me one activity. If you re-understand Ishvara as the string as well as the bead, that means all the beings and all the laws which connect the beings and the laws, what do you do in your life which is outside that design? Show me one activity. Nothing is outside that design. Okay, so this is how you become Bhakta, not just a normal ordinary Bhakta, but who has that awareness of that presence, which is all pervading presence, which is never away from you. Okay, in psychology, what you do is, because there is no Ishvara, there is no final point of resolution. You had a problem, then you attribute it to your World War II, then your mom, then your mom was stressed, and then what? There is no final closure. Okay, with bringing in Ishvara, there is a final closure, because there are laws within laws within laws which made her what she was, which made you what you are, which will, the whole thing is resolved.
So I have a question. So I've been made what I am. And suppose, for example, a person A is in some problem. What is the solution would be through this understanding of Gita? How do I live intelligently?
Yeah, so because you need to now understand that first of all, what is the nature of the universe, right? That this universe which I think I am separate from and everything else is separate from me, I need to re-understand that it is nothing but what? One entity. It's a very fundamental shift. Okay, like Einstein was saying that when you are generally what happens, this is a problem, we look for solution in this. From here there is no solution. You have to what? Go outside that and then you find the solution. Gita is like that. Otherwise you are caught in your framework. From there is no way out. Okay? It makes you see the whole life in a totally different perspective.
For interpersonal relations, you have to understand the other person, why he is doing that. Only then you can deal with that.
Exactly.
But
Right?
sometimes
So that
there's
means
no solution.
you have to resolve exactly. Everything cannot be resolved in this relative world. The only resolution point is Ishvara. Because you understand that there are cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect and cause and effect.
they are not
You
in your
can't,
control.
and they are not in your control. But there is this whole thing, this whole design which is run very intelligently. Okay, and you're part of the design and you're given the free will, and you have to what? Free yourself from all these.
Like this girl who went for 1 hour of dancing.
Yeah,
She's actually
exactly.
got a solution.
She got a solution. Exactly. So exactly. So that means you have to use in this, because otherwise what happens is when you say everything is cause and effect relationship, what do you have to do? Are you just like something which is running in
You
the
have the
machine?
free will.
Exactly. The point where you not only live in this world, but you influence the world is your free will. That is your key.
It's like you're in a forest, you have to find your path. Nah?
Exactly.
You cannot go into the tree and break the tree. Go around
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. So that means your point is your free will.
Just say that sentence about not the influence part. You just said something.
You not only live in this world.
Yeah,
but
so
you
because
also
if everything is just totally just laws and laws of cause and effect, what do you have to do? You are just like somebody who's running in a machine, right? And you have nothing because everything is governed by laws. You have one entry into this world, not only to live and experience the world, but to what? Influence and shape the world.
When you say influence, does it
Yeah.
come in the sphere of Lok Sangra, that you have that special
Yeah,
common
even-
stuff?
even-
that is what you influence,
Even
which is
in,
there in you.
Yeah, you know what?
Even in Samanya Dharma also.
even Samanya
Yeah,
Dharma.
but like this, when you influence,
Yeah.
then like what you are doing right now. I mean, there
Yes.
are many people who've learned the Gita.
Yes.
The way what you are doing is that Lok
Sharing
Sangra.
But even
That special something to explain the same. So everybody has that in different something they have.
Well, whatever, exactly, whichever field, right? You're a yoga teacher. You are careful. You're not just these every aspect. You can actually you can make it special.
But right? That's what you were saying. That there is you don't have to go to school to learn certain things. Dharma ka you said.
Yeah.
But that way even we know, sometimes instinctively that this is what this is my sphere.
Yeah, exactly. That everybody has to find out for
May not
their
be
own.
refined, but you know that you can make an impact. You
Yeah,
make an impact.
you can
Not
make it.
everyone is able to recognize what they are
Yeah,
doing.
so, but sometimes maybe a little,
Yeah.
not to that level maybe.
Self-exploration is on.
Self-exploration is an exactly.
ongoing journey.
Because what Vaishali is asking is very true. I gave a talk in Bangkok, right? And I was talking about the Loka Sangraha and all, and one little teenage guy or early 20s, he got very inspired and he says, I really want to do something, but tell me where. I don't know what my what my talents are. I don't know, So that is, but I said, I can't tell you what your talents are, but you have to feel exactly. It requires certain self-exploration.
Right, continuous exploration.
Continuous exploration.
But there are sometimes such problems as, I grew up in a cantonment and many of the boys wanted to join the army. And if they couldn't get into NDA, they're completely broken. I mean, मैं क्या करूं?
Yeah.
So that also happens.
So that's
But
exactly.
then they do find
They do find
something
it.
else.
This is the thing. There is no way that we always think the life stops when I don't get there. That life never stops.
That this 18
There is-
years old,
yeah,
these,
yeah.
they're completely destroyed.
They are.
They don't get into
Then, yeah,
what they want.
nothing stops.
Your identification doesn't have to be so much.
Exactly.
Limited to that.
This is
They
why
will tell, such big dialogues. If somebody dies, I can't live without that person. But they live.
they live.
Life goes on.
Exactly.
So it's like that.
They call it Smashan Vairagya. That's like we're limited to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually
Walk
not
out of
true.
this bhajan, you're all right.
Yeah, it's not true at all. Even
Right.
when
It
our kids
also,
are-
as they say, time is a good healer.
There is also law.
That's
For us
also
to be
law.
able to do that, no? Somebody you're so close, but still you are able. That will be something.
So now I want to stop by the last thing, that how do you know that you have brought enough understanding of Ishvara in your life? So here Lord Krishna says Nirvaira Sarva Bhuteshu. Beautiful. Nirvaira, Vaira means animosity. Animosity, yeah. Okay, so that means when you free yourself from what? Animosity. Okay, that means you are not carrying grudges against anyone. This is a
That's not easy.
huge thing. This is a huge thing. That
I have
means
grudges against
you
very few
are.
people, but when I see them, I get grudge.
So that means when Arjuna was fighting the battle, he didn't have grudge, but he was doing it objectively.
Exactly.
Is that what you're
Yeah,
trying to say?
I'm coming to that. Right? So that means I'm coming to that. That's a very good point. Okay? So that means you are not carrying, otherwise we are loaded with our own hurt feelings.
We
Loaded.
distance ourselves from that person.
No, yeah, exactly. We
must get
distance.
rid of it.
Yeah. So what? One thing. Just let me develop this idea, because it's very important to understand the nuance of this idea, what it means and what it does not mean. Okay. So therefore, what is emphasized here is that you free yourself from all the burdens that you carry. Okay, because you are carrying. The person may have done something to you, may have really done, but right now, where is you are carrying it? So whose problem is it? Your problem, right? So that means freeing yourself from that hurt is something which is extremely important. So that means when you as a person are clear, a simple person who is not holding on to all these two major things that we all human beings hold on to: guilt and hurt. Guilt is with reference to what I did or what I did not do, and hurt is with reference to what others did and what others did not do. Okay, and we all have piles of this guilt and hurt. Okay, and you need to take care of that, because with this there is mind is all going in all direction, projecting all kinds of burdens, stress. It is leading to so many of the diseases that we have. They are all so much psychosomatic. Many of them are psychosomatic, all undealt with, emotions of guilt and hurt that we haven't processed. Okay? So therefore, freeing yourself is something which is very important. Now, freeing yourself, we again create a picture. A picture means, I have to love everyone. This is not what we are saying. This is what Kirti is saying is very important. Lord Krishna was not telling Arjuna, they are your brothers, just love them, give up everything. He was not saying that. Okay? He was saying, you have to do what you have to do, right? Now, one thing, you do it as a result of personal grudge, it becomes a simple action. but you do it to see that a wrong person in the position of power, if that person is left alone without any resistance, how many people are going to suffer? And if you are in a position to fight this person, you have to do what you need to do. So that means you are responding to the situation, but not out of this personal grudge. You have a much bigger vision in mind.
You have to say this. Yes, I've understood, but I didn't want to say it again.
Yeah. So what it says is that this nirvaira, generally people interpret very simplistically. Right? They say, oh, then you have to just love everyone, and you have to give up this resistance, and you have to give up this resentment, and you just have to be loving to everyone. This is not what it says. Okay? Sometimes you need to stand up. Okay? And you need to, what? Like in case of Arjuna, he had to stand up and fight. Okay? Now that fight could have been from two different points of view. What is going on in Arjuna's mind? One could be a personal grudge, which is what? Vaira, that he has done so much wrong to me and I am now going to get back and I am going to take my revenge. That is something that is an ordinary human being. Okay? That he did this to me, so now I have to show him back. He says that is not how he has to fight. What is the vision with which he has to fight? That right now, what is in front of him is a question of dharma. Okay? A dharma is that when a person who's a wrong person, he is in the position of power, and most of the people are not able to fight the person in position of power. But Arjuna was uniquely placed where he had the capacity to fight him. Swadharma. Okay? And if he does not do what he has to do, then how many people will suffer? Okay? So therefore, he was doing his duty not out of this grudge. So that means that grudge you don't have does not mean that you just have to be just loose-o, loving everyone and all. That is not.
A very simple example that comes to my mind is that, when children are fighting, you separate them.
Yeah.
You don't hate any of them.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. Right? We create all these spiritual, romantic ideas. Oh, love everyone, and then people, yeah,
You have
that's
to
true.
use force to separate the children.
So that means Gita is an amazing book. Very, very refined, very, very nuanced.
It's
Right?
in the book, but it's also the interpretation.
But the way you're telling us is, the book is there. It's been there in my home for a long time. I started
know.
reading it, but when I think about it, after coming, it's your face that comes in front of me.
We don't read the book now.
Because, and the way you explain it.
Yeah. See, because,
That's important.
yeah. See, I have.
Examples.
Now we
Yeah.
feel urged to read the book.
That's her role. Like I was telling her, I read the book and I thought I know. But when I was hearing you, it is so much more deeper. So,
Exactly. Yeah. Gita is a brilliant book. Okay, and this is our spiritual heritage. It's got nothing to do with me, by the way. Right? Our Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries are brilliant. The whole analysis.
So Adi Shankaracharya, he brought the Gita to the modern world, is it? By
He
analyzing.
he wrote.
He interpreted.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bhagavad Gita, if you see, it's here,
Yes.
and Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries on Gita is this much. So that means when I'm speaking in front of you, then I have all the knowledge of Adi Shankaracharya's commentaries, which I've studied for 3.5 years, plus my teacher, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. Okay, he himself is a great scholar, plus my own experiences. So that means this is how you do justice. Without giving up the authenticity, you bring in your creativity. That's what makes the teaching so powerful.
The Shankaracharya's book, what is that called? Starts with K, right? Where it's a lot of psychology is there.
Yeah. I mean, he understood very well, right? He understood the whole vision brilliantly. Okay, so that means nirvaira means that you do what needs to be done. It's not that you are just like no, but what is inside you, right? Are you doing it out of resentment, or are you doing as something that you need to do? Okay, if you can keep like that, then your understanding of Ishvara as the law, okay, which manifests everywhere, is more or less complete, because you intervene intelligently. You distinguish between, Lord Krishna distinguished between Arjuna and Duryodhana. He was not confused. He didn't say everything is me and therefore let them do whatever they want. That is not what is Gita. Within this one, different objects, the beads are different. Okay, and what makes each bead different from the other is the laws. And every bead has the responsibility of evolving. Okay, and knowing the reality that Ishvara pervades everything, in light of which to what? Change one's life.
I mean, I'm putting it, I have a question, which is, species are destroyed, races are destroyed, some complete communities are destroyed. They never come back.
So then anyway,
Ishvara, you can only interpret as the law of the might over right.
Sometimes
It is evolution. Hitler won, Hitler lost. He could have won, and then we would be praising Hitler. Whoever wins is the boss.
That defeats.
see,
Isn't it? I mean, in Australia, the Aboriginals don't matter. In the US, the Red Indians don't matter.
what you're saying is that that's why there is some karma that they carry,
Yeah.
They carry this karma.
So that's what,
yeah,
so that's
exactly.
what I mean, that it's mechanical.
No,
The
there is no
stronger
mechanic.
will win against the weak.
that is what is win again. That also has to.
Win means defeat, kill.
The arrangement is such that it has all these correcting mechanisms
Yeah.
and everything. So that's why, and this is where, in fact, the body itself, right? You tried. Her husband is a medical student. Okay, what intelligence is this body? Is something which is brilliant. One part of body, even that one part, you take
Yeah.
one part, that also knowledge within knowledge within knowledge within knowledge.
Super specialization.
So, exactly. And that is now that one eye itself is what? So many different things, and that is also connected to the brain and which center of the brain and how it kind of changes its capacity over a lifetime. All that is a design which is not just mechanical design, right? And it is connected with everything else. I mean, this is why we say Sarvagnaha Sarvashaktiman Ishvara. And laws are manifestation of that Ishvara.
Correct myself. In
Right.
fact, civilizations rise and fall.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you have the Egyptian civilization, Indian civilization, Roman, Chinese, again they are coming back. The American civilization is, well, not
On
on
the-
the decline, but it's not as powerful as it was.
Exactly.
So that's the law of that.
That is the law of dharma. Exactly.
Whatever actions you do, you
Yeah.
go and beat up the
You go.
Iraqis, you will face the
Exactly.
consequences.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So this is what is said. Then the next verse we will see next time. Okay. So where is it?
– 11 we have done, next time will be 12.
Can I have copy of this?
Yeah, Surya, can you forward it?
All of us have a soft copy.
They don't know where the authority is.
Okay. Okay. Now that person comes to me right? So that is something comes to me means that the Veda, the
What I
okay, page this 50, chapter 10, verse 34.
55.
It's 55. So samameti pandavaha. Okay, so that means that person brings the pandavaha. Okay, the person comes to me in the sense that the person understands my presence as something which is all pervading. Okay, now the next one, this orientation, you think that from tomorrow onwards you'll all incorporate Ishvara in everything? No. What is required is what Lord Krishna is talking about in the next verse. How do you assimilate this vision? How do you live from this vision? Okay? How do you make it, how do you break free from your past habitual thinking and incorporate what you have learned into your life in every decision that you make? Okay? How to do that is something which Lord Krishna is talking about in the next verse. We'll see it next time.
For 1 week we are going to be ignorant. For 1 week we are going to be ignorant. The main is coming next time.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.